Today's episode is made possible by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping all their top-of-the-line men's grooming products when you use promo code Cowboys over at manscaped.com. Now, if you want and are excited about a 7-round Cowboys mock draft with a trade, then share today's video for me so we can put that and do it for you guys later this afternoon. Help us out by sharing today's video right now. Let's dive into some Cowboys rumors from a colossally disappointing free agency so far for Dallas. What about going after Connor Williams? Could the Cowboys legend come back home? Sports Illustrated explored this idea, and I think they've pretty much got it pegged pretty well. Here's what SI Mike Fisher wrote. Maybe with only a hint of sarcasm, one NFL source tells CowboysSI.com of the idea of Dallas training with Williams. Quote, that'd be a typical Cowboys signing. Okay, maybe a lot of sarcasm in this one. It would be very on brand for Dallas, and I think there are elements that actually do make sense here. The biggest issue is this. Williams tore his ACL in December, and he is not close to being ready to sign with a team per his own agent, Drew Rosenhaus. He said this on his radio show down in Miami this past week. He had a pretty significant knee injury, so he's taking his time with his rehab. I don't think his plan is to sign with the Dolphins or any team right now. I think he's focused on his medical situation, getting healthy and seeing where he stands. Not anytime soon. That does make me wonder if maybe this was more than just a typical ACL tear. No way of knowing that for certain without the actual, medical details, which we'll never get. But when he was out there this past season at center, with time to actually play center and not just be kind of thrown into the bucket randomly like the Cowboys did, Williams was awesome in Miami. Didn't get beat very much in pass protection. Graded out really well as a run blocker. All the issues that this team seemingly had blocking from the center on the ground, not an issue for Connor Williams in Miami. Plus, we know there is left guard flexibility as well. Two areas that, depending on what you do with Tyler Smith, are potential concerns for the Dallas Cowboys. I've got more on this to come. But would you sign Connor Williams? You're in charge of the Cowboys organization. Are you trying to add Williams back to Dallas? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment. The ad comes on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. It's pretty clear to me that he's just not ready to sign. That's why the market has been so quiet for him. And that also makes him a viable option for Dallas from a money perspective. There are not very many big, post-March signings that happen from a contractual perspective. Normally ends up being pretty cheap. For me, this falls into the let's check in what happens after the NFL draft. Let's see how that plays out. If you fix your offensive line in the draft, you're good. You're fine. You don't need to add Connor Williams as well. You've probably got other ways you want to spend your pennies and cents on in free agency. So if you get a left tackle and a center, in the first round, the first 2 days of the NFL draft, then you've filled those needs. You don't need to have a left tackle. You can keep Tyler Smith in there at left guard. You've got your center over Brock Hoffman instead. But if you come out of that draft and, let's say you draft a left tackle round 1 and you don't take a center later, maybe it could make some sense. Because I think TJ Bass, I don't know if he can really be a center. I'm down to try it, but when they do the half-trying thing, it doesn't work very well in most cases. You kind of want to commit to a spot, I think is better for young players more often than not. Maybe Bass is the exception. They like Brock Hoffman. This team I think they liked what they saw from him. Frankly, I did too, in what was a very small sample size, and they typically ran the ball better with Hoffman than Biadasz, which maybe speaks more about Biadasz there. I'd also be a bit anxious if, journeyman young guy is the only option at center. So if you don't take a center in the draft, if you take a left tackle and that's all you do on the offensive line at center, I would have interest if the medical checks out for Connor Williams. But as of this time, that's a pretty big if. Today's Cowboys Report is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Clear out the winter bush with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and watch your confidence bloom like these springtime flowers. 10 million men worldwide trust Manscaped, including this guy here. So you should as well. After using Manscaped, maybe you'll finally have caught that spring fever a little bit. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is their 5th generation trimmer, 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads. The standard one, just taking some off the top, and a foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. So get 20% off and free shipping by using promo code COWBOYS over at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code COWBOYS at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants this March. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's manscaped.com with promo code COWBOYS. Now, Pro Football Network has suggested a trade for Dallas at the running back position. It is the same trade that we suggested in this same space less than a week ago. A 6th-round pick to the Chicago Bears in exchange for Khalil Herbert. And again, depending on what you do in the draft, more on that in a little bit, that is very much a potential draft day trade I have a ton of interest in. Now, we broke down 10 different players, actually a bit more because I cheated and threw in some other names on that list. If you have not checked out that video, I really think you should. It's available on the channel. Plus, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any Cowboys video. You don't have to click every single one, but this way you know each time a video goes out. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. As a runner, I would argue Herbert's actually really good. The numbers, the injuries have been an issue. It's why the 1 year left on the deal, pretty cheap. It's why the trade cost not be very much. Has consistently been a pretty efficient runner, though, when he's been out there. All of his advanced numbers also turn up pretty well. Yards after contact, forced missed tackles, broken tackles, rushing yards over expectation. I think Dallas had interest in Zach Moss because he also checked out pretty well in that area. And I think some of this, the expanded analytics department, led by John Park, I think has some influence from that capacity. As a pure runner, Herbert's very good. The downside here is he's just not nearly as involved as a pass catcher. He had a big uptick in catches this year, all of 20. He's never been a true dynamic pass-catching option as a third down back. The good news, I think you could survive with some combination of Rico Dowdle, who's done some good third down stuff for you. Deuce Vaughn is a pass-catching option there. Lipke can block and do some short yardage third down stuff as well. Malik Davis will fight for a roster spot. So, again, I think this team is going to wait till the draft, which, hey, I hate it, but it's where we're at in March at this stage. And this one might make even more sense. I'm not as mad about it. If they don't get somebody in the draft early, I would be picking up the phone and calling the Bears about Khalil Herbert because they have no day 3 picks. I'm sure they'd like to get at least one of them. So would you trade for Khalil Herbert? T for trade or P for pass? Sound off for me in the comments section right now. One significant name to monitor based on all of the buzz about the Cowboys is that, hey, this team likes Jonathon Brooks. They will have one of the 30 visits. Pre-draft teams will do 30 individual visits. They can come in the facility, get some medical stuff done, meet, do a lot of stuff. It's a clear sign of a team has interest or wants to verify something important and they need to know more information on that player. They are going to bring in Brooks for a 30 visit. That's been reported by Cowboys.com, by the way. Brooks, when healthy last year, was awesome. 6.1 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns. If he were fully healthy, I think Brooks would absolutely be in the conversation and frankly might even end up being RB1 for me in this class. I kind of get some Rachaad White vibes a little bit here, which I think may be a bit more efficient in the NFL than White's been behind a not-so-great offensive line. 63 forced missed tackles is really impressive. Almost 4 yards per carry after contact. The real issue here is this. The ACL tear is a real concern. And he checked in at 216 at the combine. I think he might have played more like 210, 205 maybe, which is fine. You're going to juice the numbers a little bit there. It's a good athlete. But that ACL tear has me worried. Can I take when I have a huge need at running back? Can I really spend my premium pick on the position being a guy who everyone says back by training camp? Okay, Let's see about that. I would be anxious there because we've seen guys return to play and not return to performance several times now. Frankly, as what this might sound, I would be more on board with Jonathon Brooks if I had signed a Zach Moss. That would give me a short-term solution, and I can still invest the premium asset into Brooks and not have to rush him back potentially. These are my top 5 running back prospects this year. I do have Trey Benson, number 1. Never ran for 1,000 yards at FSU. That is a red flag. That's why he's a second-round grade. But the athletic ability and size is a fantastic combo. But he was super close to being a 1,000-yard guy anyway. I am a huge Jalen Wright guy. I love what he brings from an explosive standpoint. Also not sure he can be a lead back. That's why he's a second, third-round cheater grade for me. Basically the same grade as Jonathon Brooks. And if Brooks didn't have the ACL, he'd be higher. I will raise concerns about the medical because that always worries me. Blake Corum, Braylon Allen are the same grade as well, basically. They're going to be neck and neck, like kind of probably stacked on top of each other. Once that finals on board, third-round picks. I think day 2, one of these 5 names, plus some other guys. Marshawn Lloyd, I'm a bit higher on than most people out of USC. Audric Estime out of Notre Dame. I think day 2 makes a lot of sense for Dallas to draft a running back this year.